Yo, all right. I hit record very quickly today. Let's get right into it though. Quickly. Let's stick on that. Outwitting the Devil. There's an amazing book called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. He's much more known. I gotta stop twisting. I have a habit. I'm like a ADHD addict of twisting these pens. It's fucked up. But Napoleon Hill wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. Most widely known for that book. He wrote another book and plenty others, but one book specifically I want to focus on today is called Outwitting the Devil. And he talks about an interesting concept he calls drifting. Drifting is one of those things that's best defined actually in the opposite. So I'll tell you what drifting isn't. There's a quote that this reminds me of. It goes like this. Whenever you find someone at the top of a mountain, you can be sure that they didn't get there by accident. You see somebody at the top of Mount Everest. You think they got there by accident? Hell no. There was a lot of intention and a lot of work that was put into that ascent. Drifting is the opposite of that. Whenever you see somebody fat, broke, and alone, you can be sure they didn't do that on purpose. Nobody wants to be a fucking loser, for the most part. Nobody wants to hate their life. How you end up getting there is by not paying attention, by drifting. It is the act essentially of just floating through life. And it's not done intentionally. So how is it done in the first place? That's what that book goes into a lot of detail on. But I'll give you just the general synopsis or the general breakdown of the book. So how drifting works, essentially, or how the devil is going to get somebody to turn into a drifter, is by offering what he calls a bribe. Those bribes are going to come in the form of temporary, immediate gratification, short-term pleasures that kind of fizzle out. And what happens is you're going to get a bribe, you're going to want more, and then you're going to end up chasing that bribe with your free time, with your with the thoughts that you have in your brain. As time goes on, it starts to consume your day. If you think about the percentage of time you spend thinking about, I don't know, anything. When it comes to social media, sex, food, TV, drugs, video games, all of those are what would be classified as that bribe, that temporary pleasure, that thing that you're going to get a little bit of and you're going to enjoy it, you're going to want more, and you're never going to be satiated. You're never going to be full. You can eat food and then eventually, be full, but if you eat junk food, you can notice you're just going to eat more and more and more and more. What you want to do is, instead of just being bribed, wanting more, and then chasing that bribe, forgetting about your goal in the process, is keep your goal more alive. That's what we talk about a lot, but I don't really talk about the negatives of not doing that. So that's exactly what I wanted to use today's video for. So be aware of those different bribes that you can get that may seem harmless in the moment, but slowly consume your time, your energy, and eventually, like ultimately, your life. So, a couple of ways you can avoid these bribes is, number one, stay purposeful in what you do. Just simply having a to-do list, simply looking at what you want to get accomplished for the day, staying purposeful on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis, having a purpose. You're not going to end up, doing something accidentally if you're doing it purposefully. Hopefully that makes sense. You're not going to end up broke, fat, and unloved because you did it on purpose. If you stay purposeful, you're going to for sure start that ascent to the mountaintop and make it all the way, as long as you're staying purposeful. So that's number one. Number two is set binge limits or reminders. So I have an app on my phone. It's called Opal. It limits the amount of usage I can give to certain apps, YouTube, social media apps, games, etc. Even if I do catch myself drifting, for the most part, I'm going to be able to catch myself very quickly because the app is already going to trigger after, 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on the app. I think you should do the same. You don't need to get a different app and pay for it. You don't need to go crazy. You can simply go into your phone settings itself, go into screen settings, go into screen time, and set app limits. And this can help you avoid drifting. Now, I'll be completely honest, it's very, very easy with you if you don't pay for something that literally forces you out of an app. And that's what I found myself, doing. I just, hit okay, reminder done, and then keep, drifting. So everybody has their own, what's the word? Their own predisposition for that. But, just throwing it out there. Anyway, setting binge limits or reminders. Number 2. Number 3 is to meditate and to pray often. It forces you to be purposeful, more present, and just generally more aware of what is going on. It'll help. Number 4, reviewing your goals often. We talk about a lot giving your goals more life, giving them more energy. As you make them realer and realer in your day-to-day life, it's just going to force out any weeds in your mental garden, so to speak. Those weeds are those distractions, the noise, the bullshit, the things that don't lead to getting what you want out of life. So that's number 4. Number 5 is to control your environment. Whether this is mental or the information that you take in, whether this is physical and controlling your environment so you don't have cake sitting right out in front of you and you don't want to eat it, well, get the cake out of your environment, whatever the cake is for you. It could be triggers for social media, for video games, for drugs, whatever it is. Remove the cake from your environment and you'll probably eat less cake. Number 6 is to pack your schedule. It's very, very hard to drift when you got appointments to hit, when you got things to do, when you have things on your to-do list, when you're in motion. If you can stay in motion, and you don't need to do this in perpetual, emotion, always just fucking moving and going and going and going. But you do want to have a busier schedule than the average person. It makes it harder to drift, but also easier to get more things done because it's there in your schedule. You're doing it anyway. So those are just a couple of ways that we can avoid drifting and accepting that initial bribe in the first place. I'll leave you with this one more concept. Specifically, people in the motivational or just ambitious, headspace, receiving content in regards to, the rah-rah, motivational shit. I'm sure a lot of people have heard the concept, specifically in my line of work. They definitely have heard the concept of choose your hard. It's going to be hard if you choose to go to the gym. It's also going to be hard if you're lazy, broken, fat. Choose your hard, right? Do you want to make it hard going to the gym, or do you want to make your whole rest of your life when you're not going to the gym, you can barely move and you die early? Which one do you want? I think you should also pay attention to choosing your easy, choosing your what you give value, right? You can give value on the front end. Most of the things that are worthwhile long term are not fun on the front end. But immediately once it's done, then you feel great. Then you start to reap the benefits. It's the opposite way when it comes to all these bribes, all these things. Video games, after you're done, do you feel like, oh yeah, that was super fun. That was great. I wish I'm glad I did that. You actually feel like, well, I want to play more. But otherwise, it's like, well, this didn't help my life at all, really. My life is still exactly the same. My video game life, I can't wait till I get back to that. That was fun. But you don't necessarily feel like rewarded or fulfilled, right? It's more enjoyable while you're doing it. Same thing with TV, same thing with social media, same thing with drugs, sex, food. It's enjoyable in the moment, but then afterwards, like, whatever. On the flip side, working out, not the most enjoyable thing in the world, specifically if you're really pushing yourself, but afterward, you're like, hell yeah, I feel great. The whole rest of the day, you'll feel great after you work out. After you invest some time or some money into whatever you're doing, whether it's business, whether it's into your personal self, whatever I get off these YouTube videos, I'm like, I feel good. I'm glad I did that. But leading up to it, I'm like, fuck, I got to make another video, whatever. So you want to make sure you're putting the value in the right thing. Do I want to be proud of myself for the whole rest of the day that I did that? Or do I want to be a little bit ashamed or a little bit like, maybe I shouldn't have done that, whatever. A little bit slightly regretful, but enjoy it while I'm doing it. Which one do you want? If you enjoy it while you're doing it, you'll enjoy it for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever. But that's the only time you're enjoying it is while you're doing it. Or you can be proud that you did it for the rest of your life. So choose to be proud of what you did the whole rest of your day, the whole rest of your life. Over time, it's going to add up, build you up. You're going to move up that mountain peak and start to get to a more purposeful place in your own life. So that's all I got to say. Let's outwit the devil. Peace.